My name is Eugene Quindon and I'm a cooper. For 30 years I've worked repairing and assembling casks. Coopering in my family have been there for over 100 years. It's a skillful trade. It is recognized as a master trade in a lot of the trades around the world. We are now working here on what we call a sherry butt, and we are tapping up hoops to put one hoop at the top, which is called a pincer hoop. This keeps this end of the butt secured. Coopering for years has been truly incredible, the way barrels are put together. They are hand cut, they are shaped, and everything is put in place. The hoops that I'm taking off here are our finishing touch to the sherry butt. I am knocking up these hoops now to loosen up the cask. All these hoops on that side, except for the pincer hoop, will come off. These sherry butts are extremely heavy, and safety has to be looked into and being adhered to in case the butt might slip or it might roll back on top of you. Here again now, knocking off the other hoops, loosening the near bull tube, coopering is being fascinated to people, whereas the training where you do an apprenticeship for 5 years is a little bit unique and different to other trades. You are helping your master from the very minute that you take up your apprenticeship, whether it be from turning the cask or holding the cask, your involvement in the repairing of the cask is practically ongoing from the very day that you walk into your apprenticeship. The hoops on this side of the barrel will be loosened to a degree, where first at the moment where I'm putting a piercer which goes into the top of the head, secured, so that when all top 3 hoops except for the bull tube are released, the head will be slacked and therefore vulnerable to falling into the cask. So therefore you hold the piercer and knock up the last remaining hoops and retrieve the head. These butts now in this day and age are filled through their heads. The nearest stave, which is what I am at now, is where on the head, the middle cantling in the head, there's a bone. When you take away that bone, the heads are filled and the barrel is secured again for storage. Tapping up the bull tube, still holding on to the piercer, now retrieving the head. It's a skill that takes a long time to get used to. It's coordination and strength. As the barrel begins to open, we can see the way the stays in the butt or barrel are held together. They can be of different sizes. But they must always be able to finish as a tight cask where no leakages are permitted. Here now I'm testing to getting the stave out of the barrel, which must be very done carefully, because on retrieving the stave from the cask, you are moving the stave from left to right, and at times can move the pincer hoop on the other end. So you must be very cautious. Idea of what we do. We use our hands for our tools and our eyes for measurement and preciseness. There is no tape measures or anything used in this. The only time that you would use anything in the lines of a compass or anything is when you're making a head, to make a circular head. Other than that, we just use our hands and our eyes to make a finished product. As you can see, a lot of it is strength and skill. Tapping out the bulges, which is the weakest part of the butt for maneuverability in rolling along the floor. The thickest parts of the stave are on either end for pressure during maturing. The weakest stave in this would be the bunghole, where at the time when casks used to be stored under bulge, the butts would be filled through the bunghole, and therefore less timber prone to cracking. So tightening up the cask, you can see already the shape that it's after taking, even though it was opened. And as you turn, you can see inside the cask how still wet it is. Around the joints where some of the whiskey that would be in the cask is showing. This would tell you how vulnerable cask can be when even at the slightest release of hoops that they can leak. Putting back on the hoops on the end of the cask for tightening. As there is no bunghole, you can see I'm looking for putting back in the right way the rivets on the hoop. These methods changed over the years for storage purposes. Putting on the bulge tube. Picking up the wrong hoop, which does happen on occasion, and hurting yourself. You proceed to tighten the hoop on the barrel or butt. The tools that I'm using, one is a hammer, which would weigh between 3.5 and 4.5 pounds, and the driver. The driver is placed on the edge of the hoop where it is struck by the hammer on the head. The driver will be made of iron, but the timber, which is called a stock, and a head hoop, which prevents the stock from breaking during impact of the hammer while working on the hoops. As you can see, the lifting and turning and positioning the cask can be quite tiresome, but it shows that work is being done. And the more you sweat, your master would say, the more work that you must be doing. Here I'm placing the head back into the barrel, which is a quite hefty thing to do, because there again, it is a changed method. we would do at this moment would put what you would call a reed or a rush, which are on the right hand side there of the picture, into the head and groove of the butt. Now we tighten the hoop, tighten the ball tube. Coopering in my family has been there for over 100 years. My great-grandfather, my grandfather, my father, his brothers, his uncles were involved in the coopering trade. We were involved in both distillery and breweries, but my grandfather and my father were distillery coopers. Tough as it was, they were very, very well thought of because they were skillful in their trade. In brewery work, where one or two of my family entered, the work was totally different. It was hard, it was tough, but when they came into Irish Distillers and saw the work that Irish Distillers coopers were doing, it changed their attitude to coopering. How far you can drive the hoop on the butt or barrel. Retrieving the piercer from the head, I can now put it down on its bulge, where you can see the bung hole there, where we fill it through the head, turn it around and stand it again to finish off the other side. As you can see, where through the joints at the top of the butt, leakages appear. This is only when the cask has been opened for repair. The tightening of the hoops, the ball tubes, the second ball tube, and opening the pincer hoop, you can now put onto the cask, into the head and groove more rush. But as this is an exhibition, it's not relevant to do this, but would be required if you were repairing the cask for filling. Tightening the quarter hoop with the hammer and driver skillfully, being careful not to slip. You gradually increase the driving of the driver by little more tender slaps of the hammer. Now you put on the top hoop and the cask is finished as a repaired cask.